Hi, this is Justin Colletti of SonicScoop, and for the first time as part of MixCon 2022, I'm going to be giving a MixCon presentation of my own, and I'm going to be answering a question. Can you mix as well as the best producers and engineers on the planet using nothing but stock plugins in your DAW? And I'm not going to just do this theoretically. I'm going to put myself to the test and see if I can mix as well as some of the best mixers on the planet using nothing but stock plugins in a DAW. Is this going to be a hard task? Let me know what you think in the comments down below, but we're going to try it. We're going to put up one of my mixes against a mix of the same exact song by multi-time Grammy-winning, multi-platinum selling mixer and one of the most influential mixers out there. Want to know who it is? Check it out. We'll be revealing that a little further along in the video. But before we get into it, a couple things I got to let you know about MixCon. First of all, this MixCon Masterclass with me, oddly enough, is brought to you by our sponsors. And our sponsors in this case are me, us, I guess, SonicScoop, our courses. We've got some courses that help teach you how to do music and audio production much better, notably Mixing Breakthroughs, where I give you a whole system to mixing. It will make your confidence and creativity in mixing go way, way up, while your time to complete each mix goes way, way down. If I have a shot, a hope, a prayer at mixing as well as one of the best mixers out there in the universe, mixing some of the best sounding records out there who other mixers look up to, if I have a chance of doing anywhere near as well, it's because of the principles in that course. Check it out over at mixingbreakthroughs.com. It comes with a money-back guarantee. I absolutely know it is going to change the way that you mix forever for the better. So you've got 30 days, no risk to try it out. If you prefer to learn everything I know about mastering, you can check that out over at masteringdemystified.com. Or if you want a huge jumpstart in learning to mix with compression, check out the full-length course, Compression Breakthroughs. And I'll tell you, if you're having trouble with compression, you're not alone, because the person whose mix I'm going to go up against, this super A-list mix engineer, he told me once that for the first 5 years he was working in audio, he could not hear compression. And now he is an absolute master of compression who other engineers look to for compression advice. So if you're not there yet, just let it be known that's where we all start. But if you want to cut down your learning curve dramatically, Compression Breakthroughs will help you do just that. But if you want something totally free for yourself, we are giving away more than $10,000 worth of free gear in the MixCon Mega Giveaway. Look for the link to that down below in the description and in the comments. And last quick note for you, if you are here for the live premiere of this MixCon Masterclass, you'll notice there's a live chat box on there, and I'm going to be monitoring it in real time. So feel free to ask your questions as they pop into your head as this mix goes along. And I'll even be doing a live Q&A after the premiere of this Masterclass concludes. I hope to see you there. All right, this is a presentation I recorded months ago, but just haven't had the right time to put it out yet, and today is the day. Let's dive right into it. I want to hear what you think in the comments down below about how my mix turned out compared to one of the best mixers out there and a guy who I tremendously respect and admire. Really looking forward to hearing what you think, so don't be shy with your comments and feel free to be as brutally honest as you'd like to. All right, without any further ado, let's get right into it. Justin, take it away. Hi, this is Justin Colletti of SonicScoop, and today we're going to be doing some audio show and tell. And the big question is, can I mix as well as a Grammy-winning, multi-platinum selling mixer? And the answer is maybe. You be the judge. I'll play you a mix that I did recently for the re-release of Mixing Breakthroughs, the Mixing Breakthroughs 2.0 course, where I took a mix where the original mix was done by Grammy-winning, multi-platinum selling mixer who I'm a huge fan of, huge respect for, and I did my own mix. And you're going to be able to hear them back to back. Why do I do this? Is it to show how awesome I am at mixing? Is it to show how terrible I am at mixing? Neither of those things. It is to show that you can potentially mix as well as some of the best mixers out there if you apply the right principles, using nothing but extremely simple tools. Because once you really start to understand what's going on with audio, with music production, with mixing, it really comes down to decisions about taste. You can get things to a place where they are competent enough and good enough where the differences between you and some other really well-established mixer are going to be just about how you want to hear things sounding. And I think that's what you'll probably come to the conclusion is that's what separates my mix from this other tremendous mixer is that they're both good. They both do the job, but both are very different takes on the same song. And depending on your preferences, you may like one or the other better, but my doubt is that people in the comments are going to be saying, your mix totally sucks compared to that dude's, or, oh my goodness, you totally blew him away. I think what you're probably going to say is, wow, those are both in the same league and they're different takes on the same thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments down below. I want to hear your thoughts, your opinions, your take. Which mix do you end up preferring? I've got a whole Pro Tools session right here from a band called Deck 3, the band of a good friend of mine, a guy named John Haber, who's the owner of Alto Music. And he originally sent this record over to a great Grammy-winning, multi-platinum selling mixer by the name of Michael Brower to mix. If you guys don't know Michael Brower, I mean, he's one of my favorite people on the planet in the world of audio and music production. I've interviewed this guy probably 5 or 6 times, and the interviews I've done with him are some of the most popular content I've done because people love to hear this guy talk about music production for good reason. He knows what he's doing. He's awesome at it. He's such an expressive person, and he has such good ideas about what's important and how to mix well. We have a whole MixCon Masterclass with Michael that you've got to check out. I'll link to it here on the channel. If you haven't seen his MixCon Masterclass, please do yourself a favor and do it, and I'll link to some of my interviews with him here as well. But Michael, in case you don't know him, he is the award-winning mixer behind bands like Coldplay, John Mayer, Grizzly Bear, James Bay. He's worked in the old school with James Brown and Aretha Franklin and Aerosmith and so many more. And Michael really does great work, and he's really known for bringing emotional enhancement out of the mix. And we're going to listen to his mix here, and we're going to listen to mine. And I actually handcuffed myself on this mix and still think I got pretty good results because I made the rule that I was only going to use stock plugins in Pro Tools to finish my version of this mix. And can it stand up to an amazing mixer who didn't limit himself in that way? I think so. Again, you be the judge, because once you know how these tools work, it really comes down to your taste, how you want things to sound, and what tools are the most fun for you to use and get you there the fastest. Couple other caveats. Since I did this for the course Mixing Breakthroughs, I did the whole only stock plugins and Pro Tools thing so that people who have just a trial version of Pro Tools or a basic version of Pro Tools could open the mix and follow along for themselves and revamp in their own way. But I also gave myself the handcuffs of I want to mix this really quickly and efficiently, because that's what the course Mixing Breakthroughs is all about. It's about making you not only have better results in mixing than ever before, but to mix faster and more efficiently than ever before. So I believe that I did this mix in just a few hours. And I know that's the way that Michael Brower generally works too, often trying to finish a mix in, half a day. That would be his ideal. And that's the same ideal I went for here. And again, once you know the principles and you have good systems for mixing, you can end up doing that too. I'll also give you the caveat that I actually haven't mixed in years. I've been mastering pretty much exclusively since about 2013, but this stuff came back to me pretty fast, in part because I work on mixes all the time and give my clients mix feedback all the time and do mix coaching calls with people all the time. So my head is always in what makes a mix great. So really having a solid understanding of the theory, I think, can help you get good results. But again, enough of me yammering. You want to hear the stuff to see if what I'm talking about actually gets good results. So let's have a listen. I'm going to come down here. You see I have these things sectioned off. All this red stuff is drums here. And then we have all these drums flowing into drum buses. All this kind of yellow golden stuff is bass, all flowing into a bass bus. This green stuff are all of the guitars flowing into a guitar bus. And you'll see that I have this bus-focused way of mixing, which is something I recommend in the Mixing Breakthroughs course, and that a lot of the best mixers who we've worked with on MixCon or we've interviewed over the years take a similar approach of having a bus-focused way of mixing. Michael Brower does the same thing himself, and I have interviews with him where we talk about his bus-focused approach to mixing. His is a little different than this, but this is a really simple thing for you to wrap your head around, of like instruments going together into buses, and a lot of the processing happening on the bus instead of just on individual tracks. So here we've got all the background vocals, all the strings, etc. And way down here is our master mix bus. I did say I used nothing but Pro Tools stock plugins in here. I think there's one exception. I turned on this Ozone EQ just so I could have the frequency analyzer. I didn't actually adjust any of the stuff on Ozone. It was just there for the visual monitoring. I believe I do also have here at the end of them, right now it's inactive, an Isotope Ozone plugin that was just an additional thing so I could kind of level match a little better, again, using their metering to make the levels of these two tracks more even so you can do more of a fair back-to-back comparison. And that's important if you're going to load up reference mixes that you're trying to beat in your DAW to make sure that you're listening level matched. Quick disclaimer there, level matching is never going to be absolutely perfect. If you level match an entire song, you could have slightly different levels from section to section. If you go in and level match one section, like we level match the chorus, then in the verses, things might not be level matched if there's significant differences in the mix or in the master. So this is level match as close, I think, as reasonably possible. I believe I level match pretty precisely one of the choruses, but the amount of level matching could float from moment to moment. But I still think you'll hear some significant differences here between my approach and Michael's. And last quick thing I want to say about Michael's style is that if you listen to some of his absolutely tremendous sounding records for Coldplay or Grizzly Bear or John Mayer, you might find that they're not what you might expect for amazing Grammy-winning mixer, in that they're not super duper hi-fi, extra tall mixes that are meant to sound super impressive. In a quick sip test, Michael's mix approach is really about carrying you through the emotional arc of the song, and he does that tremendously well. I decided I want to take a different approach with my version of the mix, and I did go for a slightly more hi-fi kind of sound. The client here didn't really have any references for me. He was just like, make it sound good, which is always hard to deal with. So I went out there and listened to, at the time, what were some of the biggest hits on iTunes in this style, which is just kind of like mainstream pop stuff. The Weeknd was coming up with like multiple tracks in there. So that was one of the things that I tuned into. We had a little bit of a brighter top end and a little bit more kind of tight weight in the bottom. So I kind of went a little bit more in that slightly more hi-fi, slightly more open, slightly more bright and bombastic as well direction than you hear out of Michael's mix. So when I go ahead and play this track that I just made active, that'll be Michael's mix. And when I go over and instead play this track over here, you'll hear my version of the mix. I've got really simple stuff going here on the bus. There are two compressors. This EQ, like I said, is my 1-knot stock plugin, and it doesn't have any EQ on it, but we've got like a faster attack compressor and a somewhat slower attack compressor chained. I talk about my approach to that in the Mixing Breakthroughs course, and also just the basic limiter built into Pro Tools to bring up the level. So let's take it to the end of a verse, kind of going into the first big chorus, and we'll just listen to Michael's take on this mix, which is super good balances. Some of the things I like in his mix is you'll find the vocal and the snare drum are really featured, which a lot of great pop mixers tend to do. So let's hear that.
Tell me stories I never knew, and I'll reveal some secrets too. Time feels endless and the world keeps turning through life. We can be who we wanna be tonight. Lay here, just lay here. Let me breathe in your hair. Lay here, we've got no cares. The other side of the day is so far away. I want nothing more. Just lay here in this room. There are no bills.
So that's Michael's take, and before I say any more, let's hear my take on the same mix.
Tell me stories I never knew, and I'll reveal some secrets too. Time feels endless and the world keeps turning through light. We can be who we wanna be tonight. Let me breathe in your hair. Lay here, we've got no cares. The other side of the day is so far away. I want nothing more. Just lay here in this room. There are no bills.
Cool. So I think you'll hear that both of these mixes are in the same general universe of quality, but there are some significant differences in our approach. I think that in the snare drum on Michael's, it was really had a lot of hi-hat going along with that snare, and I accentuated the actual snare part of that snare a little bit more. And I also took a slightly brighter approach and maybe slightly wider approach with some of the guitars. And I think as we zoom in and listen to the same section back to back real quick, we'll hear some more of those differences emerge. So again, when I solo this track, it'll be his mix, and then when I solo all of these, it'll be my mix.
Lay here, just lay here. Let me breathe in your hair. Lay here, we've got no cares. The other side of the day is so far away. I want nothing more. Just lay here in this room. There are no bills, no kids, no pain we can feel. Just me and you, the planets have aligned.
And I think you also hear that there are little kind of frills that I decide to enunciate instead of Michael. A lot of Michael's changes happen in the vocal and following the vocal arc of the song, which is the most important thing that most people are listening to. But I decided to highlight some of the bass stuff. I thought there were some beautiful melodic patterns happening in the bass that didn't get recognized quite as much as I would have liked. So I goosed those up a little bit. And I think you can hear that again here in the verse, starting with Michael's.
In this room, there are no bills, no kids, no pain we can feel. Just me and you, the planets have aligned.
That's Michael's with the vocal really front and center, and here's mine.
In this room, there are no bills, no kids, no pain that we can feel. Just me and you, the planets have aligned. No need to take.
So again, just a different take on it.
Just lay here in this room. There are no bills, no kids, no pain that we can feel. Just me and you, the planets have aligned. No need to.
And I think if you listen to the whole song, you'll hear a lot of stuff like that emerge. Just how I'm kind of making some of the guitars and basses poke out a little bit more, where Michael stays so incredibly focused on that vocal and rhythm, which is super important and also a totally valid choice in the mix. In this particular section, the verse, I feel like mine sounds a little bit louder too because of the approach I'm taking. In the chorus, we're pretty well level matched, but I think that the average level of my verses are maybe slightly higher than the average level of the verses in Michael's mix. I'll do a little bit more of this back and forth sip testing in these same sections again before I play them through kind of in their entirety one more time, just so you can listen for some of those things. Listen for the change in the relationship between bass and kick. In Michael's mix, it's very kick dominant, and in mine, I go for a tighter sounding kick drum with kind of a bigger, fuller sounding bass where you can hear a little bit more of what the bass is doing. And there's some benefits to that. I like that. I like that approach to mixing. I went in that direction because I like that better. Does that mean that my mix is better than Michael's? No, but hopefully my mix should sound better to me than Michael's mix because I'm doing things that I like in my mix. And hopefully Michael's mix will sound better to Michael because he's taking it in the kind of direction that really pleases him. Which one of those is better really is determined by the end client and the end listener. There is no better. This is art. We're talking about subjective stuff. So again, that's something I want you to get into your head when it comes to mixing. You want to get good enough at this stuff just by knowing the basic fundamental principles and having good systems where it really just comes down to taste. And are you making mixes that please yourself, please your end clients, and please the end listeners? And ideally, you should like your own mixes even better than someone else who's even better known and even bigger at mixing than you, because you're doing things that really move you and your spirit. So let's hear some back and forth A-Bing again here, starting with Michael's mix and then mine. First, going back and forth in this chorus.
We can be who we wanna be tonight. Lay here, just lay here. Let me breathe in your hair. Lay here, we've got no cares. The other side of the day is so far away. I want nothing more. Just lay here in this room. There are no bills, no kids, no pain we can feel. Just me and you, the planets have aligned. No need to take this night too far. When morning returns, we'll put our mask back on and leave this heat on ice for a while. We can be who we wanna be tonight. Lay here, just lay here. Hold me like I never let go. Lay here till tomorrow. The other side of the day is so far away. I want nothing more. Just lay here. Lay here.
And I think that you'll hear that the mix comparison becomes increasingly unfair as it goes along, because in some of these verses, my mix ends up being louder than Michael's on average, even though we're basically level matched in that first chorus. So let me go ahead and scoot up the level of Michael's mix. So let's goose this back up.
When morning returns, we'll put our mask back on and leave this heat on ice for a while. We can be who we wanna be tonight. Lay here, just lay here. Hold me like I never let go. Lay here till tomorrow. The other side of the day is so far away. I want nothing more. Just lay here. Lay here. We can be who we wanna be tonight. Tonight. Lay here, lay here, lay here, lay here, lay here. Just lay here. Hold me like you never let go. Lay here, just lay here. Let this night fly by in some motion. Lay here. The other side of the day is so far away. I want nothing more than what we were before. Just lay here.
I just caught another difference in there, just how that "I Want Nothing More" line is a little more goosed up in mine, as are the strings, and in his, that's the one vocal line that's a little tucked back. And again, if you listen to this thing through as a whole, those create a slightly different emotional impression. So you don't want to listen to these things just in a sip test, a quick A/B like we're doing here for YouTube purposes. You actually would want to, if you were the client or the end listener evaluating this, listen to the whole song through. See which one moves you more, not just which one sounds better in a quick snippet. Another interesting thing here is when I juiced up the level of Michael's mix by about a dB and a half here, you'll hear that now our verses get kind of level matched. Actually, his verses might be slightly louder in parts, but then his chorus gets significantly louder than mine. So again, perfect level matching is difficult to impossible, but it will help give you a better sense for how the mixes really compare than listening at wildly different levels, imperfect as level matching may be. But what are some of the differences that you hear? I'll see if I can link to the full version of both of our mixes if John lets me do that, so you can hear them in their entirety. But the differences that I'm hearing kind of in this back-to-back listen are I'm going for a little bit more width and a little bit more height and a little bit of a tighter low end, which to me makes it sound a little bit more hi-fi and impressive in a quick sip test A/B. But I think the kind of mid-range focus and more centered feel that Michael has in his is also very cool and could translate well to a lot of systems where some of that width and some of that height might be lost. We also take a totally different perspective on the low end. Mine is a little bit more bass dominant, with the bass being kind of the lowest, subbiest instrument, but still melodic, and you can follow it through, whereas the kick is this much tighter nugget in the mix, where meanwhile in Michael's mix, the kick drum really sets the low foundation and is a super important driving force in that song. And I kind of reimagined it as being less driven by the kick and more led along by the bass line. So you can put totally different emphases on the low end, and it can totally work. Either way, neither of those approaches is necessarily better or worse than the other. They're aesthetic choices that should be made, hopefully in conjunction with the artist and the producer, but different mixers are going to go for different things at different times. And honestly, if I had a different set of references or a different set of notes for the artist, or a different mix that I was trying to quote unquote beat and sound different from, I might end up taking a very different approach. So our choices are really informed by all of those things. Long story short, I hope that you can hear that you can mix as well as some of the greats out there using nothing but stock plugins in your own DAW, as long as you know the basic fundamentals of audio really well and have really good systems in place for mixing, which is what Mixing Breakthroughs is all about. And there's a chance that you could mix this song more to your liking than I could or than Michael could. And ideally, that's what you would do, is that you can get a mix that sounds even better than either of these mixes to you, because you're following what inspires you in a mix. But to do that, you have to have the fundamentals down. One of the best ways to learn the fundamentals is the full-length course, Mixing Breakthroughs, of course. Or you can spend decades in the trenches like Michael has, or like I have. I haven't been in the business as long as Michael, but it's been a couple of decades now that I've been doing audio stuff basically professionally. And Michael's been doing this stuff even longer. So this isn't to say that you buy Mixing Breakthroughs, you go through it, and immediately you're going to be mixing as well as Michael Brower. I would argue that I actually can't mix as well as Michael Brower, although this mix is as good. I couldn't imagine doing what he does day in, day out, on record after record after record, making client after client happy. And I also had some benefits here, being able to start with some wet tracks that already had some of the vocal processing baked in, so I could really focus on reimagining other parts of the mix. If you want to try your hand at this mix, it's in the Mixing Breakthroughs course, which you can get over at mixingbreakthroughs.com. Big thanks to John Haber and Deck 3 for letting us check this out. Big thanks to Michael Brower for his awesome mix, which to some of you may sound better than my mix. Hopefully, some of you like my mix better, and hopefully we'll get some comments going down there about what's better, what's worse, and why. Again, try not to be too fooled by some of the level matching stuff. One of the pass-throughs, my mix is slightly louder in certain areas, and one of the other pass-throughs, Michael's mix is somewhat louder in some of those areas. You're going to have to try to listen through some of that stuff. And again, not just listen to these mixes in a sip test. The best way to check this stuff out is by listening through in its entirety and feeling which mix moves you more. Well, I hope this one was useful for you. I didn't go granular into too many specific mixing tips and techniques in this one. But we've got a whole bunch of stuff like that. Not only the full-length course, Mixing Breakthroughs, but a ton of free videos on this channel. Master classes with master mixers like Michael Brower himself and so many others in the MixCon series. We've got years upon years worth of tutorial videos with me on this channel where you can hear and see me doing stuff in the DAW. We've got that. And of course, we've got the weekly podcast where I give you big picture conceptual frameworks to help you finally understand some of the fundamentals when it comes to audio and music production, really get them sunk into your brain so you can finally start applying some of these core concepts for yourself. If you want something totally for free, I've also got the free workshop, The 5 Habits of Every Great Mixer, where I've taken all the things I've learned spending the past 10 years interviewing, producing master classes with, working alongside or underneath some of the best mixers on the planet. You can check that out, The 5 Habits of Every Great Mixer, over at sonicscoop.com/mixhabits. That's sonicscoop.com/mixhabits. These are the 5 things that some of the best mixers on the planet do on every single mix, Michael included. Basically, all of them do all 5. Some of them only do 4. Most of them do all 5. Chances are you're doing 2 or 3 of these things at best. But if you start doing all 5, my goodness, I can promise you your mixers are going to improve overnight. So check that out over at sonicscoop.com/mixhabits for the free workshop, The 5 Habits of Every Great Mixer. If you prefer to know everything that I know about mastering, we've got the full-length course on mastering called Mastering Demystified. But we also have a free workshop on mastering, Mastering 101, that you can check out over at sonicscoop.com/mastering 101. That's sonicscoop.com/mastering 101. Hope this one has been useful for you. If you do end up mixing this for yourself by taking the Mixing Breakthroughs course, I want to hear your mix. I want to hear from you what you were able to improve and how you reimagine this thing for yourself. We have not only this track, but tracks in all genres. We've got hip hop, we've got EDM, we've got rock, we've got so much stuff. So hope that's worth your while. Thanks again for hanging out with me. This has been Justin Colletti of SonicScoop. See you next time. All right, I hope you enjoyed that MixCon Masterclass as much as I did. What did you think? How did my mix stand up to one of the absolute greats out there, a guy who I tremendously respect and admire? Absolutely like Michael's work. What did you like better about each version? How did mine stack up? Don't be shy with your comments. Feel free to be as brutally honest as you want because I can handle it. I don't know if that's actually true, but we'll find out. All right. But if you want some great stuff, definitely check out our full-length courses like Mixing Breakthroughs. This presentation is brought to you by our full-length courses, Mixing Breakthroughs. It is the system for learning how to mix faster, better, with more creativity and more confidence than ever before. And I think if you were anywhere even remotely pleased with the results I was able to get here using nothing but stock plugins in a DAW, you can get the same kinds of results relatively quickly by adopting systems like the ones we teach in the Mixing Breakthroughs course. Check it out over at mixingbreakthroughs.com. If you prefer to learn everything that I know about mastering, we've got the full-length course on mastering called Mastering Demystified that you can get at masteringdemystified.com. And of course, if you want to break through barriers when it comes to learning, hearing, understanding, and using compression like a pro, Compression Breakthroughs is the course for you. Like all the other courses, it comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. On the other hand, if you want something totally free for yourself, check out the MixCon Mega Giveaway, where we are giving away more than $10,000 worth of free gear with multiple chances to win. So check out the link in the description and in the comments down below, and good luck to you. Right after this presentation concludes, we are going to be jumping right into a live Q&A with yours truly, where I will be answering your questions in real time. So look for that link down in the description and the comments, and I hope to see you there. There are more MixCon Masterclasses coming your way, so be sure to check out the MixCon website, mix-con.com. That's mix-con.com, so you can RSVP and not miss any of the live premieres to any of the upcoming MixCon Masterclasses. Thanks for hanging out with me. This has been Justin Colletti of SonicScoop. See you next time.